Star Trek Strange New Worlds Episode 1. Few things I need to say before we get on the way of this. I will be talking about this show over the Obi-Wan show. I don't know. This just seemed more fun. I want to talk about this over Obi-Wan, so I said I'm going to do one of the two. It's going to be Strange New Worlds. I want to talk about this one. I will cover Obi-Wan. It's going to be this show first. Also, I have not seen all of Discovery. I've seen a couple episodes. I just don't care. That never grabbed my interest. I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. Yeah, you're doing the thing there. Slowly you start to weed in these new characters, and then slowly you're like, wait, people actually like these new characters more? Oh, why don't we give them a spin-off? Because they're old characters, we know. And that's what this is. This is a spin-off on the Star Trek reboot based on the characters from the first unaired pilot of Star Trek from the 60s. If that's not complicated, I don't know what is, but there's something you can go tell your family. If they're like, hey, well, how's that new Star Trek show you saw? You're like, oh yeah, it's based on the characters from the spin-off show of the reboot, but from the characters that were from the original unaired pilot of Star Trek. Spock is still here, of course. Number 1, Una is still here. She's cool. And Chris Pike. Not Kirk this time, but we'll get to that in a bit here. But Pike is here to take command. And like I said, I didn't watch all of Discovery. I knew all of these characters, like our main quartet here, appeared in Discovery at some point. I knew they were dealing with time travel, but what I did not know was what Pike saw his future to be. So we kind of know the timeline for Pike if you have seen the original series. He appears in an episode and it's like, hey, maybe this guy was before Kirk and he dies and then that's how Kirk becomes in charge. Something like that. To that of a really. But here they're saying he's got like a decade before he actually dies. That is what he saw in the future. I'm like, okay, I can get behind that. That would mess up a guy so much that they want to take a break from actually being in active duty. And that's what this is. We start off in Montana. And, he's in bed with a beautiful girl. He's got a big bushy beard, looking amazing. Anson Mount, having the best week of his life. Probably having the best sex of his life this week. I will say that forever. This guy is suddenly going to be the coolest guy in the world. Good, because he's awesome. But he's just relaxing and chillaxing, not doing much. He's going out for a horse ride, and suddenly a big ship comes down and is like, bro, we need you to come back. We need another captain out here to do something good. Because your number 1 was working on another ship. And that ship was making first contact with this planet. I think it was Keeley 237 or something to those regards. And we don't know where they went. They went radio silent. We cannot find them. We need you to find your number 1, please and thank you. So what happens? He's got to rally the team back together. The captain of the Enterprise is coming back to active duty with his team. And, this is what I wanted. I love Star Trek. I don't get to talk about it a lot. And there's just certain parts of modern Trek I don't enjoy. I love Lower Decks. And this show is just great. Everything about this show just worked. I loved every second of it. It was so cool. I'm not kidding. I actually teared up in this episode. Because there's a scene towards the end, which we'll get to, where I'm like, you really know what you're doing here. So we're coming back to active duty. We got new recruits coming aboard the ship, characters that we will see later on in the original series making their big debut here. Uhura is a new recruit aboard the ship right now. She is the new communications officer. And I'm like, good, that's fun. I think she's an addition I can get behind being added here. Also, one I wasn't expecting because I didn't read all of the casting announcements was Nurse Chapel. Guess what? Christine's here too. I wasn't expecting that. And you got this weird, energetic, bubbly lady playing her. I'm like, cool. That's it, man. You're doing some fun stuff. I like it. But also, we got to get Spock back in active duty. What's Spock doing right now? He's off with his lady friend. They are, out for dinner. She proposes. They want to go back and have some killer Vulcan sex, but he's got to go to work. My goodness, Spock's getting some in this. Everybody loves this guy. I love it. I haven't heard full speeches of Ethan Peck's Spock. He is doing a great job of emulating Nimoy over Quinto. And I think that's great. He's doing fantastic at this. I like it a lot. So Pike is back. He gets aboard the ship. Everyone's happy to see their captain. We meet our new recruits and members of our team already. Ortega is here, so good on you, babe. Do your thing. We have our new security chief because our number one is still missing in action. This is Ona, something like that, Noonien Singh. And I know some people might not pick up on that. Noonien Singh is a name that is connected to a very famous character from the original series, that of course being Khan. Are we going to see Khan appearing in here? I don't think so. Is she going to be intrinsically connected to Khan? I don't think so either. I think this is just more like, this character exists. She's got a name with somebody you know. There could be a connection later. She talks about kind of like being trapped on like a Gorn planet, and like people who survive, they're like lucky to get by, and when like there's like one chosen to be evacuated off the planet, like it's a fluke they live. So maybe she's going to have a turn like Khan, where it's like, I seen my people in this one situation and now I have to protect them in this one. Because Spock's people were from the past. I mean, Khan's people were from the past, so she could just be descendants of his lineage. Like, okay, I'm on board for that too. I like it because it makes sense to me. You know, if you're using names that people know, I'm fine with it. If you're doing something cool for them, I'm okay with it too. Do it. Do what you want. And then it's just classic Star Trek from here. It is. We get back on the ship. We're acquainted with everybody. We meet our medical officer. We meet Chapel. The idea is we have to sneak onto this planet out being detected because they obviously don't like aliens. When our first contact went awry, how are we going to get back down there to make things work? So we're going to use some cloning devices. I love it. Well, not cloning devices. Like the genome stuff where you're going to like alter your DNA to disguise yourself as the natives of the planet. It's so cool. Everyone's got their faces changed up. They're going down to the planet. This planet is split into two factions in a civil war, potentially destroying the planet based on the technology they had. Does it sound like a certain time period in American and maybe just world history? Sure does. That's literally the point. We'll get to that at the end here too. And it is great. It is just really leaning into classic original series vibes. Look at these characters just going about having fun. Pike is emulating a lot of Shatner in here, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I actually really like it. He's just got the right smile, got the right swagger. He's doing a great job here. They are teasing a Kirk throughout the entirety of this episode. I love the reveal it's a guy called Samuel Kirk. That is so funny. It worked so well. You're like, oh, God, James is coming. Nope, it's just Samuel's. I love that. What a great joke. But I like it. They're on this planet. They have to get into this like medical bay. Spock's thing's kind of being, altered because of his Vulcan DNA. They have to like beam down a certain just like genetic code so he can access into the building. Very great tension. It's working really well. I love the scene where one of the guys they beam up back to the Enterprise after they like nerve pinch him is just like running about because he's freaked out. He just escapes. Him and Uhura start having a conversation. Oh, that's funny. That is so like that's great. And then you just see Chapel comes in, and I'm like, yeah, I love it. That was just really good. Really good stuff. So yes, they do find number one, and she's like, things went bad. And the reason they have this technology and they have these bombs that could destroy themselves is because they are close enough in proximity to that time we were on the Discovery and we saw the future. They saw our technology because they were looking at us through a certain like porthole and they could see what we were doing. Thus, they created the technology. Thus, this culture is going to kill itself because of us. Wow. That is so Star Trek-y. I love it. And, Pike's just going, we cannot let that happen. Like, what? I know it's against protocol to interfere more, but we can't let that happen. Because look, it's not good. So he keeps Spock with him, and they're like, okay, I gotta go solve this. You guys go back to the ship. Let me deal with this thing. And he's gonna deal with it. And basically, he is just trying to understand the circumstances of his own life. Like, why is he here? He is just plagued by this idea of his own death, trying to figure out what it means to survive. But he's essentially telling people, or the rulers of this planet, like, okay, we get it. You saw what we could do. Look what else we can do. And he shows them the Enterprise, and there's like, okay, so you clearly got power. If that's going to unite them, maybe it does. It brings the two leaders of the warring factions together for the first time in like a century, but they are still not. They're still not agreeing on everything. And that's when Pike's like, okay, I know what to do. Let me solve this problem again. Beams back down. He's like, ladies and gentlemen, you are headed in the same trajectory that Earth was. And you know what happened to Earth? Look at us now. Just look at us. We're so perfect. We weren't always that way. We survived World War III in the 21st century. And we see clips from today. Because what's happening today is a country divided, is a nation divided, is a world divided. It leads to certain wars, and then genetic wars, and then eugenic wars, and then eventually just World War III. And we kill ourselves, and there's a big explosion that shows a part of the world being executed and blown up, and like 600,000 people die, and then suddenly the world can heal from it and grow into something new. But we are still struggling to maintain that. So you can be better than us. We used the technology we created and destroyed ourselves decades, centuries ago. You can do better than we did. You do not have to use your technologies, which is our technologies, to destroy yourself. Essentially, you could be a better version of humanity. And you see like the idea of like worrying about your future without actually living in your present, weighing on Pike while he is giving this speech. And it's like that's the thing that gets him back into his reality, back into his ideas. It's like, I'm here now. I know how to be part of this world again. It is so brilliant. I couldn't help but lose my mind. And then right after that, immediately launching into the montage of this planet of Keeley like 237 healing and studying the Enterprise, and you're just looking at like they're teaching kids these things in school to help them. I don't know why. I don't know why, but that little montage of this planet just understanding the values of the good in humanity and the goodness of not using your weapons and just learning from science, I got really emotional. I actually teared up. I'm like, why is this affecting me so much? Is it because of the times we live in, or because it's handled with such brevity that it's just amazing? I don't understand it, but I love every second of it. This is just going in directions I adore, and seeing the classic uniforms for the characters we love, these new characters we are being introduced to. I love the inclusion of Chapel. Her energy is so fun compared to the other scientists and everybody else aboard the ship. I am just really digging what we are seeing here. It feels like classic Star Trek in a way none of the other shows really have so far. And that to me is super impressive and something I'm really enjoying. I love the camera work too. It's gorgeous. I love the lens flares. I love the colors. It looks expensive. It feels expensive. That's impressive. Like, there's other shows you can compare it to. I'm not going to say their names, but maybe other shows on Paramount Plus or other shows on other streaming services right now that it just doesn't have that feel to. This looks high quality. This looks like it's been maintained by people that care. It can make something special. And I really like it. So this gets Pike back. His number one is returned. Una's back with him. Spock's a part of the team again. We have our crew. We are about to venture into unknown space and boldly go where no man has gone before. Very cool. I really just liked this episode. This was a great start to this show. I think it was super strong and super cool. The entire world is fantastic. Anson Mount, you are going to be the king of the nerds very soon. You are already the king of a certain type of people, so good for you, man. Strange New Worlds is killing it. You deserve this. Everybody involved in the show deserves a pat on the back because you somehow, in an era full of darkness, have found a way to make Star Trek cool and perfect and work so well. I am super happy right now. I love it. I love it. I cannot wait to see where this goes. I will be back next week to talk more about this show. I love it, and I love you guys for loving it with me. So that is going to do it for this review of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.